All right, looks good. Looks like we are live. YouTube looks like it's working. Great. All right, I think we're in good shape. You never know with YouTube, but it seems like tonight is a good night. It says that it's live. And so long as you can hear me, can everybody hear me? Yeah, it looks like you can hear me. Looks like everything's good. Thank you all so much. Punctuality is the key to a successful life. It helps you in personal and professional ways. And I always like to show up a little early. Anyway, hey everyone, welcome to episode 79 of Gear Talk. Gear Talk is the show that I do every other week where we talk about the geekier side of rollerblading. If you know the difference between the Rems and the Remedyz, and why the Remedyz were revolutionary and the Rems were kind of that next thing, you've come to the right place. Gear Talk is a show that I do every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, live on the YouTube channel. We would love to have more people join us on the live stream. I know that a lot of you are out there and the time zone is a little difficult. We do this at 9 p.m. Eastern to make sure that most of our audience is in the US. Most of our audience is able to be off of work, or maybe they're sitting back and they're enjoying a nice dinner with a nice drink, watching the show, participating in the live chat. I know that it's difficult for people in Europe, and I do appreciate all of you who end up staying up to participate. But if you want, we do the live stream so that we can have a lively discussion in the chat. And usually there's, about 100 people or so by the end of the show who are in the chat that come and talk about skating, talk about gear, talk about whatever's going on in their lives. You get everything under the sun. If you are in the chat and you have a question for me, I would love to take your questions. I always do a few different segments where I stop and I take questions from the chat. If you've got a question for me about skating, anything to do with skating, make sure that you tag Back to Blading in your message so that I can see it. It'll show up in orange or yellow, whatever color they're using this week. And I'll be able to see it through the stream of different chats. It's really nice to be able to take your questions live so that I can ask more questions if I have them. But if you are watching this later and you have a question, feel free to leave a comment in the video itself. I always read the comments on all of the videos. I don't necessarily respond to everything, but I do definitely read everything. If you have a question, I will do my best to answer it and get you as much information as I can. Not sure that I have all the answers, but I have a bunch of answers. And if I don't, I will do the research to find the answers for you so you can get your questions answered. Because ultimately what we want to do here is we want to help people skate and skate longer and have more fun when they're skating, which means that they're going to keep skating. Before we get started, I always like to thank the Helmet Initiative for helping us with our helmet giveaway. I'm a big proponent of helmets. I love seeing other people out there skating with helmets. Doesn't happen all that often. I totally get that helmets feel a little weird for some of us skating. After you wear it for a few sessions, you kind of get used to it, especially if you get the right helmet. But it is one of the most important pieces of gear that you can have. It will save your life. Bottom line, if you fall down and you hit your head and you're wearing a helmet, you have a very good chance of not having any serious injuries. If you don't, you're going to probably end up in the hospital or at least get a concussion, and that's really bad for your brain. So I always recommend wearing a helmet. I know that a lot of people out there would love to wear a helmet, but they can't necessarily afford a helmet right now. Maybe they need to buy some wheels. Maybe they need to buy some groceries. I totally get it. Let me help you. I would love to help you. We will be giving away one helmet tonight for somebody who's lucky enough to enter our drawing. There is a link in the description, in the chat. Go to backtoblading.com/helmet. That is the form that you need to fill out in order to win a helmet. And I'll be picking somebody at random who can get a helmet and hopefully wear it. If you're in the US, we'll send you a helmet directly. We're usually sending out the Sweat Saver, certified Sweat Savers. They're really good helmets. They're the helmets that I use. They usually run about $50, $60 or so in stores. If you're not in the US, we'll probably just send you some money or a credit at a local shop so that you can pick out the helmet of your choice. It gets a little expensive with shipping and with customs and stuff like that, sending things overseas, so it doesn't really make sense, but we will do everything we can to help you out so that you can get a helmet. Again, thanks to the helmetinitiative.org for all of that. If the Helmet Initiative wasn't here, they would be sending helmets. We wouldn't have helmets to give away. So a huge debt of gratitude to the helmetinitiative.org. Also would love to thank our supporters on Patreon. We make a little bit of money on Patreon that helps keep the lights on here, but it also helps us with the shipping costs for these helmets. You know, we pay, 10, 15 bucks for every helmet that we send out. It adds up. So if you have a little bit of extra cash and you want to support the channel, patreon.com/backtoblading, even $1 a month would be really great. You get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. You get to see what skates we're going to be reviewing next. You get early access to the podcast. You get access to the live stream and a bunch more. So thank you both for all of the support. We really love doing this helmet giveaway, and we couldn't do it without your support. All right. Where should I start? So I got a few things. Let me start by talking a little bit of housekeeping. So wanted to talk a little bit about the Chroma Anti-Rocker project. So when was it? About 3 months ago, I think, I announced the Chroma Anti-Rocker wheels. We'd been working on a secret project to create a brand new anti-rocker wheel. And we've been working on this for about a year. It's a completely custom design. It is a 47 millimeter urethane anti-rocker wheel. It is super hard. So it's 75D, which is on the different scale than the A. So A ends up at 100. So typically you're skating and you use either 88A or 92A or, something around that range for wheels. The anti-rocker wheels are really hard and they say, well, they're 101A. That doesn't really exist. So it stops at 100. If it's more than 100, you can measure that. But if you're using a durometer that just tests in 100, it's going to say, well, it's more than 100. So you can say it's 101. And that's fine, but I always like to be specific. I always like to look at the numbers. And we were testing wheels. Our first wheels were 75D, which was super hard. So we started shipping those wheels, and unfortunately, the urethane started flat spotting. So the urethane that we tested when we were doing our development is different than the urethane that we were using in production. And this was a stupid mistake. There was a lot going on. I should have tested it, but I didn't. I just assumed that the urethane that we bought in bulk was the same urethane that we bought in small parcels pieces, and it wasn't. So I ended up having to recall all of the anti-rocker wheels. We left them out there. It's not like it's a health hazard or a danger or anything like that, but they wear much faster than I had anticipated. And I've spent the last month or so, 2 months or so, trying to figure out what can I do? How do I get a urethane that's going to work for this project? Because I really believe in this project. I think having a custom anti-rocker wheel is cool. I think doing something different with anti-rocker wheels is way overdue. And I think having a complete suite of colors is really what Chroma is all about. We want to put different colored wheels all over the place. And we think that the best way to do that is to do custom colors. And unfortunately, we had a real struggle getting the urethane right. I had maybe 2 to 3 different urethanes that I purchased, and the resins just didn't work. They all became like this chalky feeling where you would rub it on the ground and you could see the wheel, the color of the wheel on the cement. That's not the way that you want the urethane to work. You want it to, maybe rub down a little bit, but it shouldn't leave a streak or, it's not a crayon or a piece of chalk. So last week we had a breakthrough. Last week we found 2 great urethanes that I was able to test, and super excited that we're finally being able to go back into production. So I wanted to share a little bit with the testing that I went through to confirm that these are actually the wheels that we're supposed to be using, the urethane that we're supposed to be using. So this was the urethane that I thought we were going to use. This was a 75D urethane that I got, and I poured a few wheels and they came out great, and you can see they're beautiful wheels, but they started flat spotting. So you can see this area right here that is a flat spot. And that's just from grinding a ledge, which is not okay. So I saw that and I said, well, shoot, I guess we're going back to the drawing board. Unfortunately, every other wheel that I tried, every other urethane that I tried didn't work. But I found a urethane that worked. I went and skated and it didn't leave any flat spots. It didn't leave any wear or anything. I tried 2 different urethanes and I found 2 that worked really well. One that I'm going to go with. The way that I tested this, so not only did I go out and skate in the ledge around the corner, but I took the wheels and I rubbed them on the unwaxed cement in front of the warehouse. So I took this wheel, which I already knew was pretty chalky, and I just pushed it down on the ground and I was like this, like 10 times. And you can see this is the wear that it left. And you could, if you saw the, I took some pictures, but you can see the picture that it left this chalk. You could basically draw your name on the ground out there. That's what I'm trying to fix. So what I did is I took a few different anti-rocker wheels and I compared our current urethane that I plan on using with other anti-rocker wheels on the market. So first I took a UHMW wheel. And this is the UHMW 5050 wheel. This is a production wheel that we've never had any complaints over. And I rubbed it on the ground and you can see that wear right there. So this was after 10 little rubs on the ground. Now, obviously, I don't recommend anybody takes their wheels out and rubs them on the ground of the parking lot. That's just, not the way that we skate. But it's a good simulation to see what it would be like if you were skating a ledge that didn't have a lot of wax on it, or maybe, some rough terrain or something like that. So this is what UHMW looked like. I took my dead urethane wheels. I really like these anti-rocker wheels. These are those 101A ones. This is what they looked like. So you can see that wear. This is the same test. I just did 10 rubs to see what it ended up with. And this is the new Chroma wheel. So this is the wheels that we're planning on using. This is the wear that it had. Give you a few different angles of it. So pretty good. Now, this is also a pink wheel, whereas these are both black. So you're going to see a little bit less definition of the wear on these wheels than on this wheel. But I will tell you, the amount of wear is very comparable. Line them up for you so you can see all 3. So these are the 3 different wheels. The amount of urethane that was rubbed off is very comparable. So I'm feeling really confident with these. I got the urethane dialed in. I got a new pressure pot so it can get rid of all of the bubbles and make a much more consistent, solid wheel. And these are the new Chroma wheels. So these are the ones that we're going to be shipping out. This was poured yesterday. So it still has a little bit of time to cure, but it's weighing in at 70D right now. It's going to get a little bit harder over the next week. But this is the white Chroma wheel. These are the anti-rockers. And you can see even better now, both sides are now beautiful. There might be an air bubble here or there, but both sides are really clean. Here's the black one. So you can see this is same urethane that I'm using, and both sides are now super clean. I really got this process down over the last month of working on it. These are both using the new urethane that I found that holds up really well, very comparable to UHMW, very comparable to the 101A urethane that DED uses. I think these are going to be great. So we are going to start pouring the wheels next week. I got to get through prime frame orders so that I can ship all of those out. But we're going to start shipping the wheels next week, pouring the wheels next week, and shipping hopefully by the end of next week. Anybody who's ordered Chroma anti-rocker wheels will be getting a set of the new wheels. That is, I'm not asking for anybody to send back the old ones. You can keep them as a memento, you can keep them and skate them, but these are going to be the new wheels. I'm going to ship those out to everybody who's ordered them, and I'm going to wait a little bit and make sure that the people who order them are happy with the product. You know, most importantly, I want to make sure that they skate the wheels and they feel like they're getting their money's worth. After that, we're going to start opening up the orders again. So we're probably looking at about 2 weeks until we start releasing wheels to the general public who didn't pre-order. There were about 30 or so sets of wheels that I already shipped out. I'm going to get through that 30. I can make about 8 sets a day. So that takes me about a week of work, give or take. I'm going to be shipping those out as soon as they're ready. I'm going to make sure that the people who have already purchased them are happy with them and they say that, yes, they're good to go, give them the green light. And then I'm going to ship to shops, get caught up with all the shop orders, and then I'll open up the direct sales again. So fingers crossed that everything works the way that it should. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I feel really confident in these wheels. I'm going to be skating these wheels this weekend just to make sure that they hold up to my skating. My skating isn't crazy and it's mostly skate park, but I don't see any reason why these wheels would be any problem for anybody. I'm really sorry that it took so long. I wish that the production wheels were good. I have so many production wheels just sitting here, now just collecting dust. There's nothing that I can do with them because the urethane that I bought was wrong. And sometimes you screw up. And unfortunately, you know, you live, you learn. But I can say that the product that we're going to be shipping now is so much better quality than the product that I was shipping 3 months ago. And the urethane is going to hold up just as long as any other urethane wheel. It's going to be a really great project. I hope that you support it when you can purchase them again. We do have some new colors. Unfortunately, we had a bunch of colors scheduled, but we've held off on everything because we didn't want to ship anything that was going to wear too fast. But we have new colors that we're going to be releasing in the next month or so. Again, as soon as we can get through this initial roadblock of quality, get those out the door, and then hopefully we'll have some new colors probably in September. I think that'll be a good time. Anyway, thank you all so much for the support and your patience. It sucks buying something and not being able to get it. I know I've had that happen to me before, and I will do my best to get these done and out the door as soon as possible so that you can get skating again. All right, so that's Chroma. I also wanted to talk a little bit about my friend Andrew. So my friend Andrew Kingery came by to visit last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I think. If you don't know Andrew, Andrew is the guy that, the shirt that I'm wearing, this is a King Souls shirt. Andrew is the guy that I credit with maybe the new, like the modern renaissance of DIY projects. There were a few people before him, don't get me wrong, but he's the guy who really took the aftermarket sole plate, like the homemade sole plate market, and kind of blew it out the water. He was synonymous with aftermarket soles. Like if you wanted to upgrade your skates, you would get King soles. That was just the only option. You know, you could get the stock sole or you would get King soles. And this was before 3D printing was really like consumer grade. You could buy 3D printed sole plates, but they were extremely expensive. And most people didn't have 3D printers at home. So Andrew was doing all of this at home, either with a drill press or with a router. And it was an amazing time. Unfortunately, he was impacted by COVID. He was also impacted by a hurricane that ripped through his town. So it kind of set his business back a couple of years. He kind of lost all of last year, but he's getting his feet back under him again. He came out to visit and brought me this. Check this out. So this is a new inbox medium video. So this is Children of the Night. This was the first medium video, 1996. I remember when this video came out, and I was one of the first to have it. I think I had this I don't know how I had this, but I had it way early. And I remember having people come over to my house and watch it, because it was on VHS. Like, how else are you going to watch it? Medium cult team video, Children of the Night, starring Matt Andrews, Champion Baumstimler, Jake Elliott, Matt Hermanic, Rafael Sandos, and John Starr. What a lineup, right? Co-starring Thomas Banuelos, Pat Lennon, Robert Liavanos, John Ortiz, all these crazy names. Jason Reduta, Neil Seamar, this guy that somebody's co-starring, Brian, what's his last name? Shima, I think that's how you pronounce it. Brian Shima, I've never heard of him. And introducing Dustin Latimer. How crazy is this? So this was the original video. Andrew got this from the Eisenberg's estate sale. So Eisenberg's, was a skate park in Texas, and it was started by Arlo and his family. And his family went and closed up the shop, but when they were moving, they were selling a lot of his old stuff, and he didn't care. He just wanted to get rid of it. So Andrew went to the estate sale and picked this up for me. Well, he picked this up, and then he's like, you know what? I think Lawrence would appreciate it. He'll put it on the wall. He'll share it with people. And I did. Look at me. Serious, amazing video. This video contains adult language, adult situations, nudity, police brutality, satanic music, and bestiality. Viewing is not recommended to those under the age of 45. So I can watch this in August. So next month I get to watch this video because I'll turn 45. It's so cool. Anyway, thank you so much, Andrew. Just in case you didn't know, these are King Souls. So this is what Andrew made. This was from 2018. So this was the first them King Soul that he made. He usually made them for Solomon's, but this is a them King Soul. You can see this is just a piece of plastic that he basically used on a drill press and just cut out all of the little areas and such. It was a lot of fun to skate, especially for like royales and backfarves and stuff. This material slid so good and had this little notch, not a big notch, but just a little notch that you could really lean into. It's amazing. I love this sort of stuff. I mean, just thinking that you can build something for your skates, that's just, I love people with that sort of mindset, that sort of ingenuity that just say, you know what, I want to get a new sole plate. Nobody sells it. I'm going to make my own. Anyway, Andrew, hope everything is going good with you, and I hope that you get back to making sole plates. The people need sole plates, especially for USD carbons and stuff like that. So you can make some of those. That would be great. All right. Let's see. Before questions, let me go through my current skate setup. So I was very lucky to get some new skates. Thanks again to Patreon and all the ads, for everybody clicking on the ads in the YouTube videos. All of that money goes back into the channel, and I'm able to get skates so that I can do more reviews. And this month, I got myself a pair of God's FM3s. So these might just be my new favorite skates. So these are God's FM3s. They are built on the USD carbon free. So it is a plastic shell. The shell goes up around this way, goes out around this area, around the toe, and then goes back around this way. It is a leather-ish with an integrated liner that wraps around that plastic shell, which gives it the rigidity, but then still the softness that you get with nice soft boot skates. They are super comfortable. They fit my feet perfectly. These are the size 44. I am a true 28.5 centimeter foot, which is supposed to be a little long for these boots, but they fit me great. I don't have any toe issues or any pinching or anything like that. They are 45-degree strap, nice new buckle. This, I don't know if this is the carbon. Is this the same carbon? Compare this to my carbons. No, it's different. So this is the, I don't know which cuff this was, but this is a different cuff than the carbons. It's a really nice cuff. Works really well. Haven't had any issues with it. The buckles feel good. There's a little bit of clackiness that you typically get with USD. I don't know why, but a little bit of clackiness. But most of all, they feel really solid. The core frames, I put on the white USD 7 sole plates. They came with the red sole plates. I put on the white sole plates. Oh, I didn't bring over here? I didn't. I have the red sole plates. That's what they come with. I swapped out the sole plates so that I could ride white frames nice and clean. I really like the white. Too much red. And red is a really hard color to match. So the red wasn't the same color as this. It kind of stood out a little bit. So I got the white sole plates, and then I put on the core frames we just got the core frames in, and I've seen a lot of people posting their setups and posting their unboxing. Really makes me happy to see people enjoying the frames. We have plenty more coming in. If you weren't able to get some, definitely check your local shop. They should have some. If they run out, we have more coming in. I think production of the next shipment ends in 2 weeks. They said 12 days. I don't know if that's 12 days or if that's 12 working days or what. So that means that we'll have more frames coming over. We brought in 500 sets last time. We're bringing in 750 this time. So we've got plenty of frames to come in. I'm really, really thrilled with the response. People are loving these frames, skating them, loving them. I love these frames. I think the angle is the most important thing. So I kind of designed these frames for the way that I skate, and it just so happens that a lot of people like the way that they are set up. This angle is really nice on these God skates with the USD 7 sole plate. When I was skating the Kaiser Fluid 4, the groove, this groove, just felt like it was too deep, like it was low. So when I was doing Royales, I felt like I wasn't really getting boot down. I was just kind of hovering around there, and I was getting boot down. I could feel it on my sole plates, and I could see it after the session that I was grinding the sole plates. But it wasn't low enough for me to really feel balanced. Like there's this angle that you get on boot down Royales that really, like, it feels like you're in the, in the zone, or in the, in the, what's the surfing thing? Like in the, like when they're in the wave, I don't know what it's called. I don't surf. But yeah, if you're in that little pocket, I guess, it really feels amazing, especially with back Royales. When I squash down on a back Royale and I can just sit, it feels amazing. I love that, and I always chase that feeling, and I can get that feeling with prime frames and the USD 7s. Now that's just geometry. That just is the angle of this frame is perfect for the angle of this sole plate. Doesn't mean that these are the perfect frames. Doesn't mean that these are the perfect sole plates. But for me, that's the perfect angle for the way that I do tricks. I'm still skating the stock wheels, and they're holding up. I saw my friend Chris, who also has these wheels, and they're already chunked. He skated them maybe 4 sessions. So I might be swapping out these wheels after this session. They're really flat in the back. I don't know how big they are. I haven't measured them, but as soon as they start getting really flat, you can tell that they're going to start chunking a little bit. That's how his were, and I'm a little worried that they're going to chunk on me and I'm going to end up not being able to skate. So I'll probably swap out these wheels before my next session. I think that's the right thing to do. But they feel good. Like, they feel really good. Nice and bouncy wheels. Of course, it doesn't matter if they don't last very long, but bouncy wheels, a little bit of a slip. So when you're doing turns, like if you're coming off of a grinder, if you're striding hard, you're pushing hard, I can feel my foot not quite gripping as tight as I'd like it to. Kind of slips out a little bit. Anti-rocker wheels feel fine. Not much to report back on the anti-rocker wheels. I can see that I'm hitting them every now and then, but they grind fine. They're nice and hard. I like the color red. I think the red matches really nicely with the boot. So yeah, I really like them. I think these are really great skates. I don't know how they compare to my USD carbons. I think the rigidity is a little bit more so pronounced on the USD carbons. I feel like my foot is a little bit more responsive in those. But these are really comfortable. So it's kind of a toss-up between the two. And at $380 boot or complete with the Fluid 4s and the wheels and everything, it's a really great deal for a, carbon-free, basically, a complete carbon-free. If you can pull it off. The look down is something else. Now, I love seeing other people skate these skates. I feel awkward skating these skates myself. I feel like these skates I'm not really cool enough to wear these skates. They look like really cool shoes with wheels on the bottom. And I've had a few people say, hey, how did you get wheels on your shoes? And I'm like, no, they're not shoes. They're skates that look like shoes. And I don't think I would ever wear these shoes because I think that's too much for me. But if you can pull them off, these are definitely recommended. I'm going to skate them again this weekend and maybe for a couple more weeks. I've got some more skates coming in, but they're not going to be here until probably middle of August. So I'll probably skate these all throughout August until I get to another one. But this might replace my USD carbons as my number one skate. I'll have to skate the carbons again with the same setup so that I can just test boot to boot to see which one I actually prefer. But yeah, I was blown away by how nice these were. I don't know that I can pull it off for extended periods of time. All right, let's take some questions. As I mentioned before, if you've got a question, great time to ask it if you're in the live stream. Make sure that you tag Back to Blading so that I can see it in the live stream. If you're watching this after the fact, please leave a question in the video. I would love to see it. Just leave a comment. I will do my best to answer your questions. I read all of your comments, and I will definitely take a look at your questions. All right, scroll into the top. The Count 555 looks like a pore line on one of the edges. Will that affect the performance of the wheel? Like, will it crack? I'm assuming you're talking about the chroma wheels. Yes, so the way that we do these, it is a two-part mold. So the wheels get poured, and then there's a cap that goes on top and the socket that goes in the middle so that you can keep the inside clean of urethane, but then the bottom gets this full urethane in the top. It is a single pour. It's not like there's two pieces that go together after they're made. The line that you see is just where that mold meets. And yes, there is a line, just like you'd see a mold line on a regular wheel. I don't know if I have a regular wheel. I don't have a regular wheel over here. But just like you would see a mold line in the middle of a regular wheel, instead of putting that mold line in the middle though, we put it on the edge. And the reason for that is we wanted to make the logo pop. And if we put the mold line in the middle, it would mess that up. So that's why the mold line is on the edge. It is the same sort of thing. It doesn't align quite as cleanly as if it was in the middle, but it was a sacrifice that we wanted to take to make sure that the logo came nice and clean. There's no structural change with that. Even if this was misaligned, there'd be no structural change with that. Remember, these are also anti-rocker wheels, so I don't recommend skating these flat. They are cylindrical, so they will roll just fine, and they do come with bearings, so they won't grab on the stairs or ledges or anything that you roll off of. But they're not designed for skating. These are 75D. That's going to be super hard. You're not going to want to skate these. But I don't see any structural issues with this mold line. I think it's just a cosmetic thing. It's more pronounced on some of them. I think the blacks are harder to see. Everything is kind of pronounced on the white. But that is one of those things that we are getting better at making over the years, over the months of pouring them. I think eventually we'll get it so that you can't see the mold line at all. That is my goal. We'll see if I could get there though. Great question though. It is a different wheel altogether. I hope you'll try them and see what you think, and definitely report back if there's any weirdness, but I can't see there being any weirdness. Luke, any update on V2 50/50 freestyle frames? Great question. We do have freestyle frames. So you can go to balancedisc.com and you can order freestyle frames for your core system walls, core systems. You can order freestyle walls for the core system. I can't speak. We are 3D printing those frames. So the freestyle frames are, because it's such a small market, it's hard for us to justify investing in a new mold until we've determined that there are people out there who actually want to skate freestyle. So we are doing a 3D printed freestyle wall that uses the core system too, uses the same axles, but it is 3D printed. They are $50 for a set. They use the same axles, so all that you would need to invest is $50. You pull that off your prime, you pull the prime walls off and you put the freestyle walls up and you're good to go. I've tested them in the street and it held up just fine. They are 3D printed, so they're a little heavier than a glass-filled nylon would be, but they're also only $50, which is a really great deal. You don't have to buy all the hardware or anything like that, and it uses the system that you've already got. As we sell them, we will get some more feedback and we'll continue to refine them. So one of the nice things about 3D printed versus having a mold is that if we want to make little tweaks so that we can improve the design, all we have to do is make a change in the file and then reprint. So we're going to continuously make updates to it as we get feedback. Now, obviously, we haven't gotten any feedback yet. We've got maybe a dozen freestyle walls out there, and I don't think anybody's skated them yet. I haven't seen any pictures, and nobody's tagged me in any posts. But if you do, and if you are out there skating the freestyle walls, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything that you'd like improved. We have a few being printed now, so if you want to purchase them, we will always have them in stock, but it might take a couple of days to ship. So we have all of the filament. It takes about 36 hours, 36 hours to print. So, you know, it's about 2 days or so before you'll get a shipping confirmation, but we are more than happy to ship them out. They're available in black and white. We'll be doing colors in a little bit, just as soon as we can get through this mad dash to get all of the shipping out. But yeah, freestyle is fun. It's not really for me. I'm not a huge fan of it. I feel like, again, the deepness of the groove doesn't help me very much, especially if you've got a wide sole plate. But if you're skating something with a pretty narrow sole plate, like, you know, a Them 908 or a Majestic 12, then a freestyle frame might be really nice, you know, especially if you've got bad knees and you can't get really low and support yourself. Not going to judge. It's a great option for that. Let me know what you think if you're able to get them. And yeah, I hope I answered your question. Thanks. Thanks for asking. A.G. Kush says, I think the gods suit you. Well, thank you so much. It is hard to pull off, but I feel like I was skating pretty well in them. I don't know what it is about flashy skates, but I always feel like I get a little, you know, a little something, like the spirit of Frankie, able to get low on my grinds, things like that. We'll see how they go this weekend. That might have just been a fluke session, of course, but thanks for the compliment. Luke with another question. Quick thoughts on the Razor's Colts. I just ordered Colt Copper V2. I liked the Colts. I think they were good. I skated the Razor's Shimas, which are a Colt. The lacing system will be different, but these are very similar to the Colt Copper 2s that you ordered. I really liked them. I think the sole plate, the groove needed a little work. It wasn't really right for me, but I know a lot of people like it. Sole plate was okay. I prefer a sole plate that kind of goes more square, like out, like a straight angle. And this one curves around. So it offered a little bit of a weird pivot point for me. But they're really solid skates, especially for the money. You really can't beat them. These were the best Colts because it has a really nice lacing system. But, you know, what are they, $200 complete? That's an amazing price. Yeah, no complaints about Colts. If you like them, you like them. I think they work really well for a lot of people. I just feel like I found better skates for me. But I know a lot of people who really like the Colts. Dave Quist. Did you get the Cosmics? I did. Oh, I'm so sorry I forgot to email you. It's been a bit crazy here. I have them. I sent a picture to Rob Harrington of my Conjure Shrine. I've got all the different wheels. Thank you so much for sending them. I will definitely do a piece on Conjure in a upcoming episode. Maybe next episode, because it should be pretty quiet. I shouldn't have any new skates or anything to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about Conjure, unless it's too soon. If it's too soon, I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I've got a bunch of cool stuff. I never had any Cosmics though, so thank you for sending. They're amazing wheels. I wish we could get more of them. Daniel Crawford, do the prime frames need special bolts like on the balance frames on Adapts? No, the prime frames use a completely flat mounting system underneath. So you can use whatever bolts you've got. It is completely flat. Except if you are riding flat 60, you need to use either the bolts that we send you or slightly small bolts, because we do a really wide split. This is 120 for flat 60, and we're abusing UFS a lot. So because this frame, this core is so thin, we can get away with pushing these 60s out as far as we can, and it's designed for 65. So we actually ride the 60s up a couple of mil and out. So they go over the frame bolt. If you're using a big honkin' frame bolt, you're probably going to rub on the middle wheels. So what you want to do is make sure that you use a smaller head. It doesn't have to be the same ones as the balance frame. We'll obviously send them to you if you want some, but you can use the ones that come in the box, or you can use any of the smaller head frame bolts that come with it. But when I say small, I mean height-wise, not width-wise. There's no width limitation under here. So any frame bolts will work. If you're skating flat 60, you need to be mindful of which frame bolts you use. Thank you for the question. I haven't spoken about that. I should have more often. Scott Molloy, sorry. So I finally, after 20-something years, have decided to get modern with my rec skates. Excellent decision. I've been using my old speed skate frames 5x80s with a recreational boot to skate past. So I'm waiting in the mail for some Powerslide Next 110s. No idea what to expect with that drastic change, but I'm excited. Well, Scott, welcome to the present. You skating your 5x80s is amazing. 5x80 is going to be a very long wheelbase. I feel like this is going to be a very big change for you. Now I have a pair of Next. Let me see if I can get up without screwing things up. I have a pair of Next. So these are my Powerslide Next. This boot is really nice. I think you made a really great decision with this boot. The 45-degree ratchet buckle really cinches your foot in. This is one of the few hard shell recreational boots that I would recommend, and one of the only ones from Powerslide that does Trinity mount. So you'll find a lot more responsiveness because the Trinity mount moves that point of contact from inside the frame to the sides of the frame. At least that's what they say. I'm not a good enough skater to really know the difference. I feel like these skate really nice though. And the 4x90 is really good. 3x110. The only problem with 3x110 is typically when you do 3x110, they use a shorter wheelbase. So 3x110 sometimes is like a 243 base. Do I have any here? Ooh, I let my friend borrow my other ones. Do I have any others? I don't know that I have any. I don't have any 3x110s, but so typically a 3x110 will be 243 wheelbase, which is the same as the 80s. Do I have the 80s over here? I don't even have the 80s. Oh my goodness. Well, I have these crazy ones. Let me show you these. This is not what you got. So this might be more what you're used to. So 5x80 is going to be a 320, 360 wheelbase, so it's going to be long. This wheelbase is, I think it's in inches. It's 12.5 inches. I don't know how long this one is, but this is 3x125. So this is a pretty long wheelbase. This is a size 44 boot to give you an idea of the wheelbase versus how big your foot is. These things don't turn. And that is my biggest complaint with this. When you're skating, you just skate straight. And that's a lot of fun, especially if you're just trying to go straight. But if you wanted to turn, if you wanted to actually have fun, like recreationally skating, this is not the setup for you. Shorter wheelbase is going to be a lot more fun. And I don't know how big your feet are, but sometimes people will get these wheelbases as short as possible, and that ends up being too short. So with this 4x90, this wheelbase is 273. So you can see these are 90 millimeter wheels, and you can see there's a little bit of gap in the middle, like 1 mil, 1.5 mil. That is 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 45, right? No, 90 plus 90 plus 90 because you've got two half wheels. So you remove one of the wheels, 270 plus maybe 3 mil gap, so 273. Typically, it says 275, so maybe there's 2 mil gap in the middle of some of them or something. That is typical for a 4x90 setup. 4x80 setup, they'll scrunch it down. So that will be around 243. That is the setup that you're going to be getting for the 3x110, most likely. If you have a big foot, that's going to feel a little bit like you're an elephant standing on a big ball in the circus, you know what I mean? That's not going to be the best ride. I usually, recommend people get a wheelbase that's maybe 10, maybe 20 mil shorter than your foot is. My foot is 28.5, so I really love the 275 wheelbase, 270. I don't go any lower than 260. I think 260 is probably my sweet spot. 243, you can imagine, would feel a little bit short. And the way you'll feel is you'll kind of be, if you do a jump or something like that, it'll be harder to maintain your balance. You might fall backwards a little bit more. You'll get used to it. 110s are going to be tall though. So you're going to feel a little bit taller. You're going to feel like you're coasting a lot further. Those 80s are going to feel fast, and then they're going to accelerate and then decelerate. With the 110s, they're going to accelerate like slower, but then they're going to decelerate much slower. So don't be surprised if when you're skating down the street in your neighborhood, you have a hard time slowing down or stopping. I had a really difficult time the first time I was on 3x110, just not running into things, because I assumed that I was going to slow down because I'm an aggressive skater mostly. I was assuming I would slow down pretty quickly. They don't slow down. Like, you do a stride and you're just coasting. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you wear your helmet. Make sure you wear your knee pads and elbow pads and wrist guards or whatever. It's going to be a fun setup. I think it's probably the perfect setup for you because you already know how to skate. And yeah, 3x110 is a really, really great ride. It's a good balance of acceleration and coast. I wish I could go back to that first time I was skating it because it was a really fun time. Good stuff, and glad to hear that you're back skating, and I hope you stick with it. It's amazing for mental health, for physical health. It's an amazing community. It's really this little jewel of a pastime that I think we've all found. All right, I am going to stop there because I'm already at like 45 minutes in and I haven't even talked about the Remedyz yet. I have my little mark for where questions are. I'll stick around as long as I can and get as many questions in as possible. I don't like to leave anybody hanging if you got a question, but if you do have a question, you don't want to wait around for the live chat, just send me a message in the video, comment, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. I can't respond to people live if I'm not here, obviously, so just leave a comment. So I had a really fun package show up a couple weeks ago, and it had a letter. So I'm not going to read the whole letter, but my package had a box with the 2 skates in it. This is from Tom P. And a little bit of an introduction. He reconnected to the sport in fall. He was skating, back in the 90s, and he left around 2001 or so. These Remedyz have been with me since I bought them from a shop in Orange Circle. I think it was Hot Skates rollerblade hockey shop in 2000. Back then, my setup were these Remedyz and rollerblade Gs. Still got the rollerblade Gs. I modified the heel area with CDS Detroit buckle protectors to extend the sole area. There hasn't been much coverage about these old school Remedyz. Maybe in your ventures of storytelling, you could shed some light to the community. I would absolutely love to. And, he says a few thanks. So thank you again, Tom. This was amazing to open up. I've never skated these skates. I never owned a pair. I very, very rarely had a pair to play with, but super excited to share with you these Remedyz. So where to begin with this skate? Remedyz was the first shoe style skate. Like, even before K2. I think it was before K2. They had this soft boot style skate. So this skate was designed by Kato. Matteo, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Kato is from France, Belgium, somewhere in that area of Europe. I'm sorry, Kato. Really, really amazing skater and a really revolutionary guy. He came up with this design for a shoe that would function as a skate. And I remember when I first saw these, I was like, what the hell is this? This is completely different than anything out there. He started a company called Out once upon a time with his friend Toto Gali. And they were making skates back in the mid 90s or so, maybe early 90s. And I remember seeing Kato when he was skating the poppies, daisies, I don't know which ones they were, but one of those Out skates. They were a completely plastic boot, which didn't really do much, but he was able to skate them pretty well. And this was, you know, back when skating was just starting to really rise and aggressive wasn't really a thing, but they made a skate that could work for aggressive. Then he had this brainchild of the Remedyz, and he's like, you know what, the problem with skates is that your feet are stuck in this solid plastic boot, and we need freedom of feet. So he decided that the remedy was to make a soft boot with an internal skeleton, a sole plate, and a frame. Kind of familiar, right? It's kind of like these God skates or these USD carbon frees. It is a skinned plastic skeleton that has a sole plate and then UFS frame or whatever frame attached to the bottom. This was in 97 though. So this skate probably came out in 2000. The first Remedyz was 97. That was the gray and red stitching one, gray and white and red. Just an amazing concept for being so far ahead of everybody else. So a little bit of the construction. The Remedyz, so this is a plastic area that gets sewn on the toe and the side. This protects it from, because obviously if you're just using cloth, this protects it from getting worn down if you miss on a sole grind, or if you stub your toe, or if you fall. This is good for protection. Also has a little groove area. So if you're doing royale tricks, unities, things like that, you can still lock on nice there. The cuff is super interesting. So it is a skin. So this is a skin that goes over a liner of sorts. I don't think this liner is removable. The later Rems were removable. I think this one is not removable. So there is a padded liner area inside with, kind of hard to get to. You can kind of see it back here, with a plastic shell on the inside. That is what gives you support. The cuff doesn't move. It's not connected by a rivet. It is just a single piece of plastic that's under there. And there is not a liner, but this little lace-up area. I'll unzip it. Let's see if I can get the tongue out. Maybe I can get the tongue out. Open it up a little bit more for you. There, let's see if I can open this up. There we go. So this tongue covers the actual inside. And this is the actual liner. So this is the part that tightens around your foot. This part is really just cosmetic. It can be loose. But this inside area tightens around your foot. And that cinches in your foot, which makes it super comfortable. Is there something in there? It's like there's just the tongue. Yeah, just the tongue. So the lace-up liner inside gets laced up really tight, and then this on the front, and then the buckle. Buckle is just a Velcro buckle. And then the laces on the outside get tied up so that it just looks clean. And then there's a plastic shell on the inside. Super smart design, super clean, no fuss, no problems. It's super light. I actually brought my scale, so I'm going to weigh it. So these are in grams, 1844 grams. So this is for the Remedyz, 1844 grams. We'll weigh the gods with the prime frames. 1844 is what we're going for. 1974. So these are about 100 grams lighter. Now obviously the prime frames are a little heavier than the plastic out frames that they used, but it's a very comparable weight to these current USD carbon frees or God skates. And that was, what, these were 20 years ago that they were made. The skates are really interesting. The frames are an out frame. So Out, again, was the company that Toto and Kato made way back in the day. They made kind of recreational looking skates, but they were definitely for aggressive. They have sole areas and such. The frames were replaceable. So they had kind of UFS. You can kind of see this frame bolt on the inside. Frame bolt on the inside. 2-point. I think they modeled that after the 50-50 frame. So this was the 50-50 frame that started that whole aftermarket frame revolution that Jess and Ted designed, with the base plates, replaceable base plates. The first Remedyz, the ones in 1997 that they were testing and they had like Jason Marshall skating, those actually came with 50-50 frames, which was really interesting. We made base plates and the whole design for them so that they could ride the frames, because they didn't have a frame back then. They had the boot, and it was just a boot. And who wouldn't want just a boot? Boot only isn't a thing. Well, it is now. These frames look great though. Very equidistant wheelbase, very similar to the way that things had been back then. These are some John Elliott, what are they, 54 mil wheels, 5488. Still fresh mint, amazing wheels, beautiful looking, still have all the graphics on them. I wonder who poured these. Was it Lebeda? I don't know who poured Mind Game. I don't know what the max size is for this. You could see in the back that it could probably fit maybe a 58. Looks like at least 2 mil difference back there that you could fit. I don't know about the front. Yeah, the front looks like it's big enough too. So you could probably fit 58s flat in here instead of 54s. But remember back, you know, in 2000, we didn't ride big wheels. Like big wheels were 58. Big wheels were like 60. Nobody would ride a 60. That's way too big. So if you were skating flat, you would skate flat 54s, 55s, maybe 56s if you were really good. And then anti-rocker, you would fit 56s, maybe even 55s anti-rocker, because all of the frames were like this. They didn't have the, you know, the higher frame. It was all very low profile frames. These sole plates, they were machined. I don't know what material he used. I don't know if it was UHMW or if it was Delrin or something, probably UHMW. But they were machined and then they were mounted on with little bolts. I'm sure people made aftermarket bolts for them. This was probably the third version of the Remedyz. I think the first one, very limited, was the gray and red. I think there was a gray and black, and then there's this black and gray. After around, this is where my history gets a little fuzzy. After around 2000, 2001, UFS started really taking hold. And UFS was a thing that, you know, Salomon kind of pioneered. You know, we all worked with them to develop the UFS standard, but Salomon was the first skate company out the gate, did a lot of the development and the engineering for UFS. And when Salomon brought out UFS, and then USD followed suit, and then Razors followed suit, and then Rollerblade followed suit, the writing was kind of on the wall that if this skate was going to work, it needed to be UFS. And around that time, Kato also was working with Andy Wegener over at Sunshine Distribution. And that is when they started the REMS project. So it wasn't Remedyz, it was REMS. So Remedyz died with this skate, and REMS was born and became what REMS is today, which is a shadow of where it was. But REMS was the UFS version of the Remedyz skate. Very similar styling, very similar concept, but it was UFS, it was sole plates, it was things like that. I actually have my REMS here. So these are the REMS from 2 years ago. These are the 2.5 HRs. They are very similar design to these, but you can look at them. This is a 44 and this is a 44. You can see this is very big and bulky compared to this, which is very slender, very svelte, very clean. This just feels like there's just so much stuff, like material on top of material on top of material. This has a removable liner in it. The liner, this liner is thicker than the Remedyz. And then you've got to add this whole extra outside with another cuff and a second cuff. This is just way too much stuff. I think it really moved away from Kato's concept of freedom of feet, and it became this monstrosity, to say the least. I'm not a fan of the Remedyz. I skated them and they hurt my feet. They caused pain. I could only get through 3 sessions before I just gave up because they hurt and they were heavy and they felt just horrible for me. So there might be some Remedyz skaters out there who love them. I think there are some qualities that I like, but if you just want performance of a Remedyz, get yourself some SLs. I think they're very comparable with the sole plate and the groove. I think you'll really like those with a lot less weight. So speaking of weight, we can weigh these Remedyz, how heavy they are. So just a quick reminder, I'm not going to put this liner in all the way because it's really hard to get in all the way. Again, not great. A reminder, this Remedyz fully with a frame and wheels, 1842. This boot only Remedyz, $1,678. So a wheel with a bearing in it is like 50 grams. So 4 wheels, you got like 200. You're right there. So that's not including frames. That's how heavy this is. So frames are like 300, like this frame, 216 with no axles, no hardware. These are heavy skates. I really wish that the vision, that the spirit of the Remedyz project could be brought back to current day Remedyz. I think they had something amazing with this skate, and I think they could recapture it if they tried. The team is kind of left. You know, Chris Haffey was definitely their marquee skater for many years. He got a ton of pro skates. I mean, there's been plenty of, Nils was a Remedyz skater. He got plenty of pro skates. I think there was something amazing going on with Remedyz and it just kind of fell apart. I don't know that they're going to be able to recapture it without a serious redesign of that boot. But I think taking a look at this, breaking it down to the fundamentals, just redesigning this skate, but to be UFS, I think that could be an amazing skate. Keep it light. Keep it like the USD carbon free. Big sole plate that looks like this big tongue or this big swoosh. And I think they really could do something amazing. I hope that they do, but I don't have faith that they will. Anyway, Tom, thank you so much for sending these. This was an amazing treat to get. They will live. They do have a cuff. Oh, cool. So I can put them on the wall next to the current 2.5 Remedyz. The wall is finishing up. I'm running out of space again, and I'm running out of skates that I need. I think there's a couple still on my checklist that I haven't been able to come across, but for the most part, I think I've got almost everything important handled. I'm pretty impressed. And I'll say it, you know, most of these skates were donated from people like you. So I want to thank everybody out there for supporting the channel. I don't need any of this, you know. I appreciate everything. I love giving back to the community, and it's amazing when the community comes and gives stuff back. So thank you all so much for the support. It really, really means a lot. And it's, you know, why I keep doing this thing. All right, let me get some water, and then let me see if I can get through some of these questions. And a final reminder, if you have any questions, I would love to answer your question. If you're in the live stream, please tag back to blading. I'm going to stick around until I get to the bottom. If you're watching this in the future, Hello, hope everything's okay. Leave a comment in the video. I will definitely get your question if it's in the comment. I read all of the comments on all of the videos. All right. Inline Kaiju. Have you considered putting 7 soles on your carbons? I'm thinking of giving it a try. I have. I've done that on a bunch of occasions. I love the feeling of skating 7 soles on carbons. I think it's a really good setup. I think the 7 sole plate is better for me than the USD carbon sole plate. I think the Royale angle is good on the USD carbon, but it's great on the USD 7. I do wish the pocket was a little bit better on the USD 7 sole plate, but other than that, it's an amazing sole plate. So definitely recommended. They fit just fine. They take a little bit of a nudge. What I usually do is I put a slightly longer frame bolt when I first mount them on and put them on, and the frame bolts will suck the sole plate in along with the frame to the boot. And then you can take the frame bolts out and replace them with shorter ones. Usually 20 mil is the length that I'd go with. I think you can get by with 16, but you want a few threads to pull onto that T-nut. I usually start with a 25. So I use 25s in the front and the back, suck in that 7 sole plate, and then I replace one at a time with a 20 or with a 16. Depends on the frames that you're using, but that is a great setup. I think you will like it. If you can find the 7 sole plates, definitely a good upgrade. Donatello or Danatello, you could sell the failed anti-rockers for cheaper or collector's items. You know, I've thought about that. I think that I don't want to get a product out there that I don't stand behind, and I don't like them. So yes, I do have a bunch of them. I'm going to figure out something cool to do with it. But I don't think I'm going to sell them for grinding. I think they just wear down too fast, and that's not a good look for anybody. It's not a safety thing, but you know, why would somebody want to go out there and skate something that's only going to last a couple of sessions? It's a waste of money. So great idea, but I think we'll find something else to do with them. Alex, hey Alex, hello from Kauai. Law, can't wait for my Fitty care package of all my gear. It is on the way. I saw it when it went out, along with the special wheels. It's going to be great. I hope you like everything in the package. Please let me know if you run into any problems getting anything set up. But yeah, it's crazy. I think I'm done with all of the direct orders. If you haven't gotten your shipping information, please reach out. Let me know. Respond to your email and tell me that you haven't gotten your shipping notification. I'll tell you why. I think everything's caught up. I think there's a couple orders that we're waiting on freestyle frames to be printed. Those will be going out tomorrow. I think the printer's finishing up the last frame now. So it should be done tomorrow. I hope it makes it in time for me to catch the post office. Otherwise, it'll go out on Friday. But yeah, if you haven't heard from me yet, please reach out. Everybody should be getting their frames by the weekend. It's a really great feeling to finally see them out in the wild. And yeah, Alex, I hope that you like them. Let me know. All right. Let's see. Scott, oh great. Scott, thanks for watching. Thanks for your thoughtful response about the transition. Yeah, let you know how it goes. Talking about going from 5x80 to 3x110. It is lucky that you have a small foot. Absolutely. So a size 40, you're going to love that. So a size 40, 41, 243 is going to be a great wheelbase for you. Absolutely no problems. That is actually what I would recommend. So 243, 250, you're in the perfect pocket. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. You might want to also consider getting a 4x80 frame. That will be an also a 243. It uses the same Trinity mount, but then you can have 80 millimeter wheels. If you don't like the height of the 110, 110 is really great for going far and going fast. But if you want to do some urban stuff, like stair rides or doing, you know, weaving around or, you know, doing wizardies like slides and stuff like that, it's a little bit easier on 4x80. You don't have that height to worry about. And you have 4 wheels, which will give you a slightly different pivot point, so you'll be able to turn a little bit better. But yeah, I think you're the perfect foot for that. I think you're gonna love them. I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear about your first experience, just flying off into the distance. Whoa, I can't stop. It's gonna be fun. Ben, hey Ben, thanks for joining. The liner's removable, but you have to take the insole out and remove the bolt that holds the frame on. Got it. Okay, I probably won't do that today, but yeah, I noticed that the frame bolts mount from the inside. It's kind of weird, but I'll take a look. I'm super curious about how they were made, so I don't want to break anything, but I do want to take them apart so that I can learn. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying up. The Count 555, you should try to skate them if they fit. They do fit. I might try to skate them. I will let everybody know. First, I have to talk with Tom and make sure that it's okay that I skate them because they might crack and break. They're 20 years old, so I don't want to destroy his prized possession skates. But I'll see if I can skate them, and if I can, I'll do a video, of course. Aaron Christensen. Hey, Aaron. I'm trying to find new yellow large balance frames, but I can't find them anywhere. If you got any around. I do, but they are pretty used, and I only have 1 pair. I think they are my personal ones, these ones. These are the only ones I have left. We sold out of the yellows, and it was a short, limited run, so something just fell out of it. So this is the only pair that I have, and I'd kind of like to keep them. If I find any other pairs, though, I will let you know. I'll put them aside and find a way to get a hold of you. I don't think I have any, though. I don't think so. On the wall? No. No. We made 300 of them. They sold pretty quickly, so I don't think we have any more, unfortunately. Eric Lopez. Hey, Eric. When are Chroma anti-rockers hitting the market? Well, I spoke a little bit about them earlier. We are finally at a point where we have Chroma anti-rockers that we're happy with. We're pouring white and black now just to test them out to make sure that they work nice. I'm very happy with the quality, very happy with the wear. They should be available in a few weeks. We have a big amount of the same urethane coming, and we'll be pouring them starting next week. That will be our customers that have already purchased the wheels. Then after we get them to them and they're happy with them, we will start sending out to shops. Then after shops get them, we will start opening up to direct sales again. So I'm assuming that it's going to be like this time next month when you can start seeing them. But I have a surprise. We're going to have 2 new colors starting next shipment. So we'll be ready for some new wheels as soon as they drop for everybody. Stay tuned. I'm really excited about the Chroma Anti-Rocker project. It is just the beginning, like the 5 colors that we have at launch. Tip of the iceberg. Just wait. Adama, what are your thoughts on the new Genesis boot? I have them coming in on Friday and I can't wait to try them out. I also purchased a pair. I love the idea of them bringing it back. A lot of people ask about wide foot boots, and the Genesis is well known as one of the more relaxed sizing boots, so you'll be able to fit them with wide feet. So I have a pair coming. My thoughts, I'll let you know. I don't know when they're going to be here, but probably middle of next month I'll be able to get a video out. And yeah, I'm excited. I know a lot of people still skate them, so they're a great boot. They hold up really nicely, $280 or something complete. I mean, that's an amazing price point. So I hope they're good. Mago Rose, any recommendations for an experienced skater transitioning from hockey skates to aggressive? Interesting. Where are my hockey skates? Oh, they're way up there. I can't get them. I am also a recovering hockey player. So my recommendation would be, if you're getting gods are great. Make sure that you tie them up tight. Make sure that you get yourself a frame that's going to hold up to the way that you skate. So I'm assuming that you're pretty competent at skating. You're going to probably want to skate a flat setup. What that means is something like this. So you'll want something with maybe smaller wheels, like 56 to 60, and you're going to want to skate all 4 wheels flat. You could skate anti-rocker to do grinds, which means putting the little wheels on the inside. But as a hockey player transitioning from a flat setup with a short wheelbase, I think you're going to prefer skating flat to start. You could go with, since you've got your gods, you could go with balance frames, you could go with Create Originals, you could get some prime frames, you can get some Kaiser Fluid 5s. There's a bunch of really good frames out there for flat skaters now. Most important thing is transitions and getting used to the skate surface not being flat. That throws a lot of people off. There are a lot more knee bending. You know, if you imagine going around, like skating around the corner or something like that, and you know, you get your weight really low and your feet staggered so that you can absorb the shock and the turn. You're gonna wanna do the same sort of feeling when you're skating around transitions. So keep yourself low, leg staggered. I think a flat setup is really the way to go. You can find any frame out there. There's like 5 or so great frames that you can ride flat. Probably go with like a flat 58 millimeter wheel. You'd probably want to do something softer, maybe something like a 88A, and something with a really nice profile. A face profile, which is something similar to this, will be a little pointier. Rounded will be like a round profile. You want to get one of those two. So something with a little bit more of a point or a little bit more of a round. You want to stay away from, unfortunately, the wheels if you got them complete. The wheels that come with the gods, that's a very square profile. That's going to feel horrible for you because you're going to feel like you're slipping out. It's not going to have the grip that you need. You want something that's more rounded. I wish you luck. I love my God skates. I think they fit great. I think they perform great. They respond great. I think the frames that come with them are great for grinding. Don't get rid of them. Keep them in your back pocket for when you want to just do some grinds. But I think you can do a little bit better for all-around skating. Get yourself some shorter wheelbase, lower ride height frames like Kaiser Fluid 5s, Create Originals, 50/50 prime frames, 50/50 balance frames. A lot of good flat frames out there. Stick around 58, 88, and I think you're going to have a really great time. All right. I think I'm good. I think I'm caught up with everybody. If you have any more questions, please just leave them in the comments of the video. I'd be more than happy to talk with you. I love answering questions. I love helping people get back into blading, stay blading. It's what I'm excited about. So definitely never hesitate if you got a question. Always reach out. Huge thanks to the helmetinitiative.org and our supporters on Patreon for helping us with our helmet giveaway. If you've watched this far, don't forget, if you need a helmet, we would love to help you out. Go to backtoblading.com/helmet. Give us your information. We don't use your information. We'll contact one person and we will send you a helmet. It's super important that you wear a helmet when you go out skating. Protect that head. You want to make sure that if you fall down, you have every opportunity to save yourself. You don't want to end up in the hospital. You don't want to get a concussion. It's so easy to fall down and hit your head. Don't do it. Wear yourself a helmet. If you can't afford a helmet, we would love to help. Backtoblading.com/helmet to sign up to get a helmet to give away. Thanks again to the helmetinitiative.org and our supporters on Patreon for helping us with the funds to get the helmets out to you. Hope everybody is healthy and safe. Get your vaccination if you can. I know that it is a political discussion right now, which is crazy because it's just science. It keeps people safe. The hospitals here are getting full again, and 99% of the people in the hospital are unvaccinated. So I'm a numbers guy, and that doesn't make any sense. If the vaccines worked, then do it. So stick with the vaccine. Stay out of the hospital. It's super important. You know, I want to build the skating community, and the best way to do that is keep people healthy. So definitely go out there. Don't listen to me. If you don't trust me, that's fine. Do your own research, but take care of yourself. Take it seriously. Be safe. We want to go out and skate with everybody again. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you have a good week, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.